North Korea is let's not copy North Korea. Alright, so the junctions look like that. Here we go. Good. So Wesley has found Eisenhower's quote. Every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies, in the final sense, a theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and are not clothed. This world in arms is not spending money alone. Oh, there's more. It's not spending money alone, and it's also spending the welfare of its people, or whatever it is that he says. It's a great quote. Good job, Eisenhower. Too bad you're still doing it. Too bad the Americans are still doing it. Oh man, the hypocrisy. Human beings are such hypocrites. We're so good at saying one thing and doing another. Okay, let me just check these junctions again, real quick. White and yellow, that's good. White and yellow. This diagonal junction is slightly worrying, but it should be fine. So this one, I haven't actually done the bottom part. Let me go in and do the bottom part as well. If I can get down there. Well, I mean, the Americans, they say a lot of great things. I mean, the Constitution is very impressive. Theoretically, it's very impressive. You just wish they would stick to it. But that's not I mean, it's not just them. I mean, everyone's... The capacity for humans to be hypocrites is remarkable. Oh man, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, I mean, it sounds so great. The Emancipation Proclamation. They freed the slaves and then they put in Jim Crow. A great politician knows how to say great things, says Wesley, but actually making it come true is something other. Yeah, that is exactly right, Wesley. A great politician speaks well. Actions, though. Actions are a bit harder. Okay, so also we need. I don't want to. Okay, let's not do it now. Okay, let's just stop. Let's stop trying to design for now. We need to put the yellow ring around the bottom of the second loop, and that's gonna take a long time. All right, so we're back to punching dirt again. But we have considered the junctions. Let's start at the bridge here. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And diagonally from that point. Wesley says, here in Belgium, there's been a debate for over 50 years about splitting up the 3 cities, and they still haven't figured it out. But every politician before the election says he will solve it. 50 years! So what is the issue, Wesley? I'm interested. Why do the cities need to be split up? Is there a problem with the way it is now? The thing is, if it's gone on for 50 years, you would think that there's actually no problem. Like, it's actually not a problem if if people have survived for 50 years. It can't be that big of a problem, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has something to do with the language border running through them because we have a Flemish and French side in Belgium. But why do you need to split it up? I mean, okay, it's bilingual, right? Okay, there's 2 languages. But why do you need to divide them? Can't people just live in the same city and have 2 languages? What if the whole city just becomes bilingual and everybody speaks both languages? Wouldn't that be better? So like, what are the street signs in Belgium like? Like, do you have like French and then Flemish on the street signs? Like, is everything bilingual? It's really difficult to explain. I wouldn't even know how to explain in English. I don't see what the problem is though. Look, here's the thing. I come from Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong used to be a British colony. And technically Hong Kong was bilingual, although, most people just spoke Cantonese. But then, all the street signs in Hong Kong would be Chinese and English, right? And that's fine, like that's not a problem. Or you go to a country like Singapore. Well, that's part of the problem. Everything is in the language of the country it is in the part of the country. Oh, wait. So it's not bilingual, it's just one side is all Flemish and the other side is all French. Why don't you just make it bilingual? Just change the signs and just put both languages in. And we on the Flemish side have to learn French, but the French don't learn Flemish. Okay. But no, but why don't you just make it bilingual? Why don't you just have French and Flemish everywhere? Because isn't our capital is supposed to be bilingual, but it isn't by far. Okay, well, okay. Well then fix it. I mean, look, here's the thing. I feel like it's just signs. You just have to change all the street signs and all the other like it's. I don't feel like it's a big deal. I don't see what the problem is. Our capital is on the Flemish side, but everybody speaks French. Wow. I mean, look. Even if everybody speaks French, I don't see why you can't just have bilingual signs everywhere. And I mean, I come from, as I said, I come from Hong Kong. Everybody speaks Cantonese, but then there's English on all the signs anyway. And then I think about a country like New Zealand, where it's English, but Maori is also officially a language. The native language of the indigenous people being Maori. Te Reo Maori. I mean, they're talking about introducing compulsory terrestrial education in schools, and I think it's fine. Like people don't really speak a lot of Maori, but Maori is still an official language, and I think like all the street signs should have Maori on them. And like whether people actually speak it or not is a different issue, right? It's so overly complicated and stupid. It seems to me like that too, Wesley. I mean, when you talk about it, it just seems like people are overthinking it. I mean, Belgium is just overly complicated on so many ways with 5 governments for no reason. 5 governments? 5 governments? It's not that big of a country, is it, right? Isn't it just like a city, Belgium? I mean, most places have a number of governments, and we still have a king, but there's nothing to say. Well, a number of countries still have a king. I mean, the UK still has a queen. I mean, having a king is fine. It's just ceremonial, right? The thing is, getting rid of the king is more complicated than anything else. Like, for the UK to get rid of the Queen would be so complicated. They have to draft a constitution, draft another constitution that is a new one. Canada is kind of bilingual, right? Canada is French and English. I'm actually not familiar with how Canada does it. Do they just have like French and English signs everywhere? But most of the UK still likes having a queen. Well, don't you like having a king, Wesley? I'm not sure if they like having a queen. It's more like it's too much trouble to get rid of the queen. I mean, there are Republicans in the UK too. Most of us in Belgium don't even want a king anymore. Seriously? Wow, hey, that's a... But he hasn't done anything wrong. You said he hasn't done anything. Why don't you like him? If he hasn't done anything wrong, then... Look, a king that does nothing is basically like not having a king. So... It's been demanded that we should go to a president and stuff, but it never happened. See, I'm a little skeptical about a president system because there's issues of sovereignty, and you know, like when your king is technically the sovereign, but the king has no powers, it makes things safer for the common people because nobody has real power. But if you go to a president, and then if the president has power, then you've gone and changed to a system where one person has more power. And I feel like that is a risk. I mean, the United States, for example, has a presidency. And the president presumably leads the whole country, which is a bit dubious when someone like Donald Trump is the president. But when you go to the UK, like, who is the sovereign in the UK? Well, it's the Queen. And okay, so you're like, what does the Queen do? Nothing. Okay, but the sovereign does nothing. So then it's safer for people when the sovereign doesn't do anything because like no one's wielding absolute power over your head that way. That's how I see it anyway. I'm not sure if other people agree. That shouldn't be like that. My bad. That back. Oops. Oh, that shouldn't be like that either. Now that I think about it, I wonder if this is too narrow like this. I guess it'll be okay. Maybe because you're in Europe, you're less concerned about petty despots. I mean, if you think about other parts of the world, parts of Asia, parts of Africa, parts of South America, like places where democracy is a little less solid, where the democracy is a little more flimsy. I mean, you have a presidential system. The president can effectively become a king, and it's no longer a king that does nothing. It's a king who actually wields power. And then you have an authoritarian ruler with absolute power. That's kind of dangerous. I mean, China has a president. I don't know how you feel about Chinese. They're not a democracy, that's for sure. Wesley says, honestly, democracy in our society isn't that steady either. Yeah, well, maybe you should think twice before you ask for a president then. I mean, first you vote a president in, then they cancel elections, and all of a sudden you have a dictator. I mean, like a king is a dictator in name, but a nobody in practice these days. Like if you have a constitutional monarchy, like you have, the king doesn't do anything. Like he's a dictator in name, but he doesn't do anything in practice. It's better than someone who is a president in name, but a dictator in practice. You know what I mean? Wesley says, I can remember you playing the democracy game, and when you explain about how in America they can almost decide who wins. Oh, gerrymandering? And that's basically what happens everywhere, I guess. 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, if you don't fight against it, or if you don't push back against it, that's for sure. If you don't push back against election manipulation, then yeah, then you've lost your democracy. People will always try to cheat. I mean, there'll always be people who try to cheat, is what I meant to say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you don't push back against cheaters, then they'll cheat, and there goes your democracy. Speaking of Europe, the UK is still Brexiting, right? They're still have they done anything yet? They're still in the process of leaving the EU, leaving the European Union. God, that's so stupid. Like, what are they doing? But they haven't actually. They're negotiating? What are they negotiating? Exactly, they haven't seemed to they don't seem to be doing anything. Presumably, there's negotiations going on. The British pound has taken a very hard hit from it though, yeah, no doubt. Although, I'm not sure we can trust the markets. The markets are opinionated. I mean, it's just people's opinions. Like the prices of things go up and down because people get scared. Not because there's actually anything happening, but they just get scared and then they sell their stuff. People expect the British economy to take a hit when they leave the UK, when they leave the EU, I mean. But there's no guarantee that's gonna happen. I mean, I think a lot of the big multinational companies are fine anyway. It's not like they're already multinational, it's not like they care that much. The worry is that some of the big banks would move operations out of the UK in order to have, in order to maintain easier access to the EU. I mean, on a somewhat related note, over here in New Zealand, we just elected a new government, right? And so like house prices has been a big problem here for a while. There's been a housing shortage and house prices have gone up a lot. Oh yeah, Catalonia is separating from Spain, but it's not happening, is it? Spain is just gonna crack down on Catalonia. So house prices have gone up in the past 10 years or so. And the old government have said over and over again that they can't really do anything about it, it's just the market. Except that the moment the new government got elected in, the house price has slowed down and have stopped rising really. Because the people expect the new government to do something. They expect the old government to do nothing, and they expect the new government to do something. And just that expectation has caused house prices to stop rising. So, and that's prices for you. Like it's just people's expectations. It's not like they're right. They just think something's gonna happen. Same as what happened when Scotland wanted to separate from the UK. Well, I think it's a little different, Wesley. When Scotland wanted to... I mean, Scotland got a fair vote, as far as I can tell. They got a fair vote, they voted no. But it looks like in Spain there's actual crackdown by the government. Like Spain seems to be cracking down on Catalonia. You know, sending in the police to break up the separatists. I don't think Spain's gonna get a fair vote. I mean, I get the impression that Scotland got a fair vote. I don't think Catalonia is gonna get a fair vote.